made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Dr. Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic bootcamp, MoveWell University, the Black Diamond Club, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Universal Traction Systems, Vantage Point Marketing, Element Mattresses, Imaging Services, Zinget Solutions, Chiro Thin, Dr. Peter Goldman's Zone School of Healing, and Everest Chiropractic Bootcamp. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 68 of Chiro Hustle. I'm your co-host Luke Millette. Here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we had the opportunity of interviewing Lili Serrano, and she is the queen of chiropractic marketing. And check this episode out and learn some new tips and strategies. So Lili, what is your chiropractic story and what influenced you to become a chiropractic marketer?
My chiropractic story, Jim, is that, in chiropractic, I'm known as the Chiro Marketing Queen. The Chiro Marketing Queen. I'll say it slower. I tend to talk fast. And that is because I love chiropractic. And I love chiropractic because I've been a chiropractic patient for close to a decade. And it's been, I would say, 9 years. And for those 9 years, chiropractic has been just awesome for me. But I'll keep backing up because my mom's from Mexico, and that's a part, part of who I am, identity-wise. And growing up in our home, my mom really focused and honed in on eating healthy and eating from, every food, every plate she made had to be from scratch. And it had to be fresh. And, when I was a preteen, she was introduced to a nutritionist and they became friends. And so, she got very, very hooked on, even more so hooked on being healthy and like drinking molasses. It was gross. She'd make me drink molasses, and I still think it's gross. I never will. But, there was always so basically, because of my mom ingrained a lot of this eating healthy and being healthy and having just a healthy body early on, that it just made sense for me to fall into chiropractic. And the more and more that I've been in chiropractic as a patient and also serving chiropractic clients, it's just been amazing, shocking, really, of how big of a secret gem chiropractic is. And because of all the patient testimonials that I read, how amazing chiropractic is. I know I am preaching to the choir here, but just to see and also read that patients are no longer have symptoms of allergies, or how it improves or gets rid of earaches and, the cold, and I can go on and on, ADD, ADHD, so much. So for me, it really started when I was young, in my mom's home, but it's just progressed the more and more I learn about how important the immune system is, obviously, but how important the nervous system is to the rest of the body. So to me, it just made sense to serve the community at large, because there's thousands and thousands of chiropractors, that I'm passionate about. And I so believe in chiropractic. And it's funny because I go around as an advocate. I have a business, obviously, but I go around as an advocate, literally talking to strangers. And it's funny because I'll talk to them at Starbucks or on airplanes, and, they'll confide in me or share with me that they have certain ailments. And, my question is always, have you gotten checked? Have you gotten checked by a chiropractor? And so, of course, they always look at me weird. But yeah, then I go in to explain why I say that and what chiropractic really is, they tend to understand that chiropractic, that chiropractors are just backcrackers. And so I immediately go into explaining exactly what it is.
So I know that you come from a marketing background, and you could have picked any avenue of influence being a marketer. Why did you decide to niche into the chiropractic space?
I could have. And it's interesting. I don't talk about this often, but I worked for a couple pharmaceutical companies. And so I was on the dark side. I always say this, but don't tell Billy D. Don't tell Billy D that I was on the dark side. And then I saw the light. But again, it just made sense for me. It was either going to be chiropractic or some kind of other holistic practice. But because chiropractic, in my personal life, I like to get to the root cause of an issue. And chiropractic is just gets to the root cause. Why? Because it serves the nervous system. And so it was just, for me, logical. It just made sense. I mean, I personally don't get sick often, and when I do, it's like for 24 hours. It's something that my immune system has grown strong enough through chiropractic care that it just kicks the bug, the flu bug or a cold bug or whatever's trying to attach itself. But I believe in chiropractic because of that. It just makes sense. I don't know how else to answer that question. It just logically makes sense.
So, do you have any favorite quotes or motivational mantras that help you with your commitment as a chiropractic advocate?
I have a quote. Is that equivalent?
Yes, that's fine.
So one of the quotes that I keep in mind often is this one, and it happens to be a B.J. Palmer quote. So it is, "We never know how far-reaching something we may think, say, or do today will affect the lives of millions tomorrow." And it sounds cliche, but the true message behind it is, to me, what it speaks to me, because truly we were all created with a purpose on this planet. All 7 billion plus of us. And my purpose on this planet is to help expand chiropractic, whether it's through my clients or me advocating and just speaking to strangers. And that, and that's interesting too, because it ties back into clients that I have, clients that want to spread that chiropractic message. And it's, when you have passion to truly make an impact in this world through chiropractic, it's going to show. And again, it goes back to the quote of, just even smiling at someone, wishing them a great day or adjusting their spine. I mean, any positivity that you can say or do today, every day, to your patients or strangers or anyone really, you're making a difference. And it might be a tiny difference, but you're still making an impact. So that's what that quote does for me.
Well, I don't know if you knew this, Lily, but that's one of the most famous chiropractic quotes of all time. And B.J. Palmer was definitely a visionary when he told people to be kind and share the message, because it will impact millions of people. And I think that that's what we're both doing with our resources and with our skill sets. And I want to jump into the next question with you and talk about what you're doing with your resources and skill sets. And people that know of you as the Chiropractic Marketing Queen, they might not know about exactly what you do. And the next question is, what is possible in the future with what you are doing and accomplishing for the chiropractic profession?
What is possible is this. Based on the recent Gallup survey, and I could be wrong, so there's always that because I'm human, so don't rip me apart. But based on this recent survey, there's only about 14% of people in the U.S. who are under chiropractic care. And, I will venture to say that a big chunk of that 14% are people who have just what we call recycled chiropractic, where they're hopping from one chiropractic office to another. And so what I see for my services in the future is to help increase that. I mean, Pharma should not be winning. And right now they are. And so, however, the future, it's changing. People are waking up. People, more and more chiropractors are becoming more and more passionate about spreading the message. And then you have people like you and I, Jim, and also Luke, who are not necessarily chiropractors, but we're spreading the message. And that's what I see. I see a future where that's no longer 14%, but it's definitely higher. It's more like in the 90s. It should be something where it's a no-brainer. I mean, not too long ago, I was on the phone with a customer service representative, and so she happened to mention that she was on her way to the doctor because she had a really bad earache, and she was tired of waiting for it to go away and, self-medicate at home. And immediately, I, of course, asked her if she had gotten adjusted for it, because that, adjustments do miracles. And so she immediately got super excited. She's like, oh my God, I can go get adjusted and it'll go away. I'm like, yeah, it'll really improve it. You should. And so I see a future of that. I see a future of it being like, oh yeah, well, that makes sense. Duh. Thanks for reminding me. Or of chiropractic being just the first option, unless, of course, you cut your finger off or something like that. Being the first option to getting care. Medicine has its place. I'm not going to downgrade it, but that's what I see.
It's funny because that leads into our next question. Where do you see chiropractic in 20 years?
And that's where I see chiropractic in 20 years. Luke?
Awesome.
I see chiropractic, really no longer being a secret. I see, my first exposure to chiropractic was through a car accident. And so as I laid on my back, actually face down, I had these electric pads, placed on my back, and after about 10 minutes or so, I was done, according to the chiropractor. And so I had my routine visits. I was supposed to go in like 3 times a week after the car accident. And so that's what I thought that chiropractic was. It was just like not, something that was ineffective, really. I didn't really understand what chiropractic was. So what I see is at least kids, even from their times in elementary school, I see like it just being the standard, just there's so much that is taught by the current healthcare system that is permeated into schools, and children learn at such a young age about the healthcare system. I see that chiropractic also having its place even in elementary schools. So people are learning about chiropractic, even if it's bits and pieces, but throughout the course of their lives through school. And that's truly what I want for it. I don't want it to be a secret anymore. It doesn't have to be, and it's just so frustrating. It's so frustrating to know that, there are areas in the world that don't even have many chiropractic practices. And again, I could be wrong, but just in the Dominican Republic, for instance, I can count probably on one hand how many offices there are out there. Now, granted, in my experience, and again, I'll probably get corrected for this, but chiropractic has been, at least the essence of chiropractic has been around for decades. It hasn't been chiropractic until what? It's been 123 years. But what I see is chiropractic just permeating the world in every country, and, everyone just having the opportunity to be adjusted. And it sounds, like a great, grandiose idea, but there's no reason why not. I mean, pharma is everywhere. And so that's what I see. That's my dream. Hopefully it'll happen in my lifetime. But that's that's it for me.
Well, that leads me into another really interesting backstory for you. And this isn't a scripted question for you, but it's just something that came to me. And who would you say are your probably top 2 to 3 influencers or mentors in the chiropractic space?
That's a great question. In chiropractic, well, it's definitely going to be not in this order, and it does change. So, Billy D has definitely made an impact on my life, and through his message, he's just phenomenal. I really appreciate him. Liam Schubel, I know he gets heat. Actually, they both get heat. So I kind of am drawn to really bold, courageous leaders. And the third one, I would say, Jim, the third one, I would say it's you. And I'm not going to say, you've been in chiropractic for, gosh, definitely longer than me. And you're just spreading the message in such a great way. And I've learned a lot from you. So those are the 3 that I would say I admire and definitely feel connected to, and are all about changing the world and making an impact. And I recently read a quote that said, or a comment actually on Facebook that said, before you go off and change the world, change yourself. And I would say that all 3, do what they can to do that. Like you're personally, I speak to you often, not frequently, but I know that you're constantly looking at different angles to improve yourself. And that's what world changers do, and so those 3 humans, I wish I could go on, because Danny Knowles has made an impact on my life too. And it's just because I feel all of your hearts. There are women who have made an impact on my life in chiropractic as well. And Amanda is, Dr. Amanda is one. I can never pronounce her last name, so I'm not going to butcher it. Appelblatt. But, I'm attracted to energy. Energy is great. There's also Dr. Tim Young. His character is so strong. I don't need to spend a lot of time with a human to really get a good feel for them. And anyway, that's my top 3 are the first 3 I mentioned.
Well, I appreciate you putting me into that pack of influencers and mentors. And I have come to know you quite well. And I appreciate the opportunities to share with you the wisdom that I've garnered from working in the trenches for a chiropractic profession. I think that there's things that I've experienced that I've shared with you that have helped shape your career a little bit and put you into positions to become more influential and actually to understand what chiropractic is and not what people think it is. So
exactly.
I think that that's really good positioning on your end. Now I want to ask you another question off script, but it's going to be more based on who are maybe some of your marketing mentors and people that have taught you the best of practice for you to be as influential as you are?
Great question. How many do I get?
Just wax your eloquence with, sharing your secrets on honestly, this is really for the people that are listening, where they might be able to become more influential if they start following these people as well.
Yeah, I will tell you my secret. My secret to becoming influential is, this is going to sound, it's going to sound what it sounds like. It might sound a little, again, cliche, but I truly do care about people. And I want to know, the first conversation, and I will tell you specifically who I follow, but before that, this is the mindset that I have. So mindset is super important, and I'm sure the listeners will agree with that. The mindset is that, yeah, I do want to make an impact, and yeah, I want to be known, but I haven't gotten to where I am so far. Not that I'm Oprah Winfrey, but I haven't gotten there thinking that I want to become Oprah Winfrey. I've come to this place because I really care. I just see people who are phenomenal, and I'm not shy to walk up to them. I'm very bold, Jim, if you don't know that already. I'm sure you do, but I'm not afraid to go up to anyone really and just introduce myself, because they're just human like me. But, for instance, Billy D, the only reason I attended CalJam was because I had a conversation with him over the phone about me being a sponsor, and it didn't work out timing wise for me, but he invited me to the speakers gala. So so for me, that was amazing for me, to be invited by him, someone who actually, has a huge impact in our space right now, and he'll continue to in the world. And I just, I learn about people, and I personalize my connection, my communication with them. And I don't connect with every influencer out there, within chiropractic. I only connect with the ones that I actually feel a connection with, that's genuine. And even like Liam, Dr. Liam Schubel, he believes in people so deeply, and that I appreciate that. He believed in me from the very beginning. And to me, that matters. So I treasure that. I value that. And, I will do everything in my power to be as supportive. And so I've read books. It's a culmination, Jim. It's really a culmination of different people who I have followed, influencers, and they've mostly been outside of chiropractic. So that's a part of my answer is, I follow those who I feel I resonate with, and I take the good and I leave the bad, because, we're not all perfect. I'm not perfect. There's a lot of mistakes that I make, but I'm open to getting better. And I follow Grant Cardone. I've coached with him one-on-one. I'm sure some of you know who he is. I've also followed Tai Lopez. I followed, Gary Vee. I followed Robert Kiyosaki. I followed, continue to, should I say, not followed like past tense, continue to follow Warren Buffett. And, his knowledge, I'm constantly just learning. I love to learn. I love to ask questions, and they may not, always sound as the most eloquent, intellectual questions, but I'm still learning, and I always will. So that's my long answer. My long answer is, again, like that cliche quote that says, right? People don't really care. They want to feel, I don't remember the quote right now, but they want to feel that you care. They don't really care how much you know. They want to feel that you care. And when, for instance, that incident happened recently in July with Dr. Danny Knowles, it was like, I felt horrible. And so many people did too. You could see how many people how many lives he's impacted. and he's still alive is the best part of it. That he was able to see, like, wow, he made it through his medical issue, and he was still able to see, this is outside looking in, how many people really cared for him, like genuinely, and I cared. And that's, I think, what really sets me apart from all the other marketers out there, because there's so many that do what I do, and I'm not oblivious to that. But I care. I truly care. And, the more clients that come in, the better. Great. I'm going to continue to make an impact through them. And it's just going to happen because I care. When I give them my word and they count on me to deliver, my word is my word. So I put a lot of pressure on myself. So it goes down to, again, because I care. And that's what all the big influencers talk about. They pounded that into my brain, for years before I got into chiropractic. So I already came in knowing that no matter what, I'm going to show that I care, and I'm going to do it in a way that sets me apart from the other 7 billion people on the planet. And that's really what makes an impact, I think.
So this is a bit of a 2-part question. What is your real-world marketing education? Like, where did you originally get trained to do marketing? And then the second part is, what is your favorite marketing tactic?
Okay, I'm going to take this by bits. So I might ask you for the second part again.
That's fine. That's fine.
So the first question, okay, so let me take it by what's my favorite marketing technique, right?
Sure.
Let me start there. Okay.
Okay.
So my favorite technique obviously has to be social media ads, because that's what I provide clients with. I provide that service. So they're ads, not social media management. There is a difference. And hopefully everyone understands that by now. But why? Because I'm very results driven, even in my personal life. And so, again, I have to choose, when choosing a service for my business, it had to resonate with me as a whole. Like, there's no way that it made sense for me to separate myself from the service that I provided. It wouldn't make sense to me at the time that I was choosing the service. And so it just made sense to me to choose to offer social media ads. Why? Because ads bring in results. They bring in, there's like something, I would say something that I could monitor, analytically, sorry, tongue twister. Analytically, I can track. It was, in that sense, definitely tangible, so to speak. And so that's my favorite technique. It's because, I'll add to that, it's a powerful one currently, and it will only continue to evolve. I mean, I can't wait for the days where we'll see hologram ads. That should be cool. I mean, the Jetsons had it. They were definitely ahead of their time, the Jetsons cartoon. But yeah, that's my favorite. It's also my favorite because customer service is everything. And when it comes to, let's say we're talking about Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, when it comes to any comments that are made by people who have, they're following a specific practice or an ad or whatnot, any responses to that are a reflection of how well you have your customer service dialed in as a business. And that's why it's my favorite. It's just, it keeps the pulse on what's going on in the market. These platforms draw in consumers. These are consumers who need to some need, most, I would say, need to be educated on the benefits of chiropractic, like what chiropractic truly is. And it's where they hang out, and it tends to be organic. Sometimes, the ads are more intentional than organic. But if we look at the platforms in themselves, they're organic hangouts. And it's cool to just stay on top and stay abreast of the innovation that's going on. And right now it's social media platforms. And we'll see, we'll continue to see what else these platforms will develop into. And maybe there'll be a new one. I'm not against that happening, because it could. It could be happening as we speak right now. So.
You've made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Clothes for Chiro, Dr. Barbara Eaton's 56-day chiropractic bootcamp, MoveWell University, the Black Diamond Club, Legacy Wealth Management, Posture Screen, Dr. Alok Trivedi, Universal Traction Systems, Vantage Point Marketing, Element Mattresses, Imaging Services, Zinget Solutions, Chiro Thin, Dr. Peter Goldman's Zone School of Healing, and Everest Chiropractic Bootcamp. Let's hustle.
And so what is your real-world education in marketing? Did you go to college for this, or?
That's right. That's what you started with. See, Luke, I know you love me because I make you laugh. Okay, so I have been in marketing and sales for about 14 years. I counted the years. I counted them one by one. Luke.
Well, that's good.
Yeah, right? That's how you get things done. Very detailed. Anyway, for about 14 years. And I know it looks like I just graduated high school. I know. But it's the truth. And, I was in traditional marketing. I started off actually in sales. But while they are different animals, they are still very closely related. And yes, I got a college degree. And, in backing it up even further, in high school, I always I loved business. And it's maybe because I came from a family, I come from a family of small business owners that I just saw the hustle and, I saw the negative part too, which is the grind. But the ups and downs of business that I saw that as normal. I thought being in business was normal. So I grew up with this passion to have a business. And in high school, I had a teacher, my junior year in high school, who I told I told him that I wanted to be the CEO of a company or my company. And so he immediately shot that down and said, "You can never be a CEO." And so I'm like, I left with that impression for so long. And so I went into college wanting still to go into business. It didn't happen for whatever reason. I talked myself out of it. So I decided to take courses for pre-law. I thought I wanted to become a judge. And my goal was the Supreme Court. Anyway, I talked myself out of that one because I just didn't have a passion. I'm fueled by passion. So when I graduated college, I went into marketing. And so that's where that started. And it was traditional campaigns, like they call it the guerrilla style, the guerrilla style marketing. So I learned all the ins and outs, the urgency to follow up with people, schedule them in, what to say, workshops, all of that. So I loved it because it's just fascinating. Even with the marketing piece, it's so fascinating to see how people think, the psychology of marketing. I've always been fascinated with psychology since high school. And like the 25 cognitive biases that influence people to make decisions, mostly consumers, humans, right? To make decisions, it's pretty phenomenal to really go into those biases and see how it affects buying behavior. And it's interesting because since the beginning of time for advertising, these biases have been there. It doesn't matter, and that's what's fascinating to me, that it does not matter the platform, digital marketing, sales calls, anything. It doesn't matter at all what's going on in the world. Those biases still influence consumers to purchase. It's pretty fascinating. Anyway, that's my experience. And then I went to work for Pharma. And, the dark side. I was in the dark side. And I just had it with corporate America. I mean, some people are just made to own their own business. Some people, are not made to work for others. And I had it. I'm done. I've been done for a while, but I just had it with corporate, and I said to myself, you're going to have to make an impact by owning your own business. That's really how it's going to be. So here I am, making an impact in the chiropractic community, and I always will, because I love it. I mean, the chiropractors, as you know, Jim and Luke are phenomenal. They're so supportive. Some aren't. I've received heat. Because some aren't, and that's okay. We need everyone in this world of 7 billion people. But that's my long answer, Luke.
So let's pretend you're trapped on a desert island and you can only have one social media platform. Which one do you choose?
Oh my gosh. Survivor. Is this like the Survivor show? Is this kind of like the question?
Sure.
So, right now it has to be Facebook. And let me tell you what. Because the way I see Facebook is that it's connected. It seems to be the root of social media platforms right now, like similar to like the nervous system in a human body. Now, of course, you could disagree, and I'm okay with that. But it's connected to to Instagram, obviously, and so they're doing their powerful platforms, and they're just doing so much. I'm very well connected to the headquarters of Facebook, and there's a lot of intel that I learn about that most people don't, and they're just making a lot of big waves in a good way, and they're just a super powerful platform. They have exceptional people who work at headquarters, and I just see that company really continuing to take over. And again, I could be wrong. I'm not perfect in my assessments, but that's what I would say.
Well, Lili, bringing me back to the last question Luke asked you before the desert island, one of the things that a lot of people might not know about me, but when I was back in college, I worked for the school publication, our editorial piece, our newspaper, and I actually sold ad space and created ads, static print ads, desktop publishing type stuff back in the late 1990s.
Wow. Really? It looks like you just graduated high school too.
Well, it's just living the chiropractic lifestyle, Lili.
That's right. That's called.
So at this point in the game, we like to get to know you a little bit better besides what your skill sets are for advertising. But What do you like to listen to? What do you like to read?
Oh my gosh, Jim, thanks for asking. I like to take short walks on long beaches.
Short walks on long beaches.
I'm just kidding. That wasn't a part of the question. I get it. I follow a lot of chiropractors who are influencers. I mostly follow those who are outside of chiropractic. And right now I am following Ed Milet. I'm not too sure if you're familiar with him, but he's an up and coming, like really strong, strongly connected influencer. And I love learning from him because he exposes me through YouTube video podcasts. He exposes me to different influencers in, female, male, business people who, of course, I'm fascinated with business and increasing revenue and different strategies. So I learn from him about those. And I also learn about, continue to remind myself, should I say, about mindset, because mindset is everything. I mean, everything. So he has the most amazing mindset that I have come across. And I have actually followed him for some time. We worked in the same company at some point. He was in a leadership position. But yeah, he's someone who's up and coming and very well connected. I also continue to follow Grant Cardone, continue to follow Warren Buffett. So I follow those who are actually outside of the industry so that I can learn more. And there's different ways to get to, certain results. And so I understand that. Actually, it's interesting that you asked about my favorite book, but right now it has to be the book by Ray Dalio. And the reason why, he's a really well-known in the investment community. He's a very well-known investment. I would say he owns a hedge fund, and it's a hedge fund that you cannot invest into. Like the regular person off the street cannot invest into. I mean, literally, he's people are on like a waiting list to get him to manage their funds, and so he's awesome. That book has been really helpful because, and it's called Principles, and it's been super helpful because it feeds the logic side of my brain, which I love. And it's just awesome because he talks about life. He talks about, the business, how he runs the business. He talks about employees to hire, why, and it's mainly all mindset. So that's definitely a book that I've been, I'm definitely very ambitious, sometimes overly ambitious. And so that book is, I believe, about 200 pages, give or take. And so I thought that I would finish it in one sitting because I was so into it, but it's not a book that you finish in one sitting. It's a book that you just, you read maybe a chapter, you implement it. It's very practical. So it's a great book. Another one that I really like is How Google Works. And How Google Works is written by Eric Schmidt and Jonathan Rosenberg. And I've been reading that one as well. I mean, for the most part, I read it on the first pass. But it's really interesting to understand just the minds of these co-founders, founders and co-founders, of these huge enterprises. Like how did they think when they first started their companies? How did they come to where they are today? Google, dominates the world, basically. If you're on the internet, you're on Google. So it's fascinating to me. It's fascinating how these businessmen and women think. And so for me, that's what's made a big impact.
So at this point in the interview process, we always give the interviewee the opportunity to give us any information. The question is for you is there anything that we didn't ask you that you'd like to talk about?
I want to talk about the difference between, I want to talk about timing. I believe I've talked about timing before, but timing is so important, and I want to continue to talk about that. I believe I always will. When I was younger, like in my preteens, I'm just kidding. When I was in my 20s, I'm no longer in my 20s, I used to think really different. I used to think that there was only one way. I mean, I would hear mentors all the time tell me, there's so many ways to get to your answer or to get to a result. And so I would always kind of just make up my mind that, no, that wasn't true. I wouldn't really take their advice, but there are many ways to get, as we know, to get to a result and to get to the place that we're headed to. And so timing when it comes to social media ads, like, I'm asked, and I hear people ask chiropractic coaches, and when I say people, obviously they're chiropractors, but, they ask, when is a good time to start running ads, or the last company that ran ads for me, it didn't work out, and so on and so forth. And it's so important to understand that everything has its place. So when I speak to, I was just talking to a chiropractor, a young chiropractor, not too long ago. He just opened his practice earlier this year, January. And so he wanted to find out about my services. And the thing is that at a certain point, after you've built a practice, based on referrals or just hitting the pavement and shaking as many hands as you can face to face, and you've built your practice, on all that, right? On your sweat and tears and blood and everything. I believe that's really at that point where you feel that you've exhausted yourself by yourself. You've reached, let's say, 100 visits per week, patient visits per week. I believe that is a point where you then should look, or could look for social media ads as an add-on. It should always be an add-on. Social media ads are not magic. They're not going to, maybe they were back in the day, it's no longer the case. Their work, when I spoke to that doctor, what I really told him was, you're not at that 3-digit patient visit per week mark. So this is what I'm going to tell you. And I gave him a plan that he could actually implement right away. And, he thanked me. He's like, he actually sent me a text message. He's like, thank you for being honest, and thank you for the pointers. And so it just made sense to him, because the thing is that, you have to have a certain budget. You have to have certain realistic expectations. So there's a time and a place for everything. I would say what he's going to be doing is more of guerrilla marketing, which is, again, meeting as many people face-to-face as possible, visiting different, creating different groups, working with what you currently have. If you have like 20 patient visits per week, great, you have patients. Awesome, you're doing a good job. It all has its phases, just like the human body. You're born first. We all go through different stages of life. First you're a baby, then a toddler, then a preteen, teenager, adulthood. It's all phases, and we just have to respect the process. And it's tough because we want to get to a point where it's like, okay, I'm going to run ads now, and it's like, okay, well, if you do, make sure that you have certain ducks in a row so that, because it could fail. It could. I'm not going to sit here and say it won't, because it could. And if it happens, you want to feel that it's okay. This is just an add-on. I'm still paying my staff. I still live my life. This is just an add-on, if that makes sense. So it's really mindset. It's really realizing those two differences, and that there's a time and a place for everything. And it's been phenomenal for my clients to really, I'm very upfront, as you can tell. And I'm upfront with them. Some of them, before, some prospects that I talk to on the phone are like, well, yeah, it took us 7 years to get to 700 patient visits per week. And in the next 6 to 12 months, we want to increase it by 300. And that's possible, very possible. And it's also very, very possible that it may not happen. So I try to be very realistic and ask them, okay, well, it took you 7 years to get to 700, it is what it is, which is great, right? And so I just lay out the expectation of what an additional 300, what that time frame may look like. And, given the information they've given me on that phone call. But so I just want to say, thanks for asking that question, because it is super important. And, I've talked to chiropractors who are like, wow, I have never known that. Like, I've never known that I should wait at least 90 days to see if these campaigns, how effective they are in my market. Because every market, that's another thing I want to share, every market is different. And you will have people who are also very great at this craft, who will say that, no, it doesn't have to do with the market, it has to do with blah, 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 whatever they say. There's so many variations of what they say. But in my experience, it has to do with the market. It has to do with how they respond. How well you know your market is so important too. Do you know your market? Do you care to know your people? I get a lot of questions from prospects, how do I know what kind of workshop to put on, or how do I know what to offer, potentially if they want to make like some kind of new patient special. The best way to learn and ask your current patient base. That's really going to be the best way. Like, what are the ailments? What are the top 3 ailments that brought you into this practice? So we could start adjusting you and go from there. You're going to get most of your, if not all of your research is going to come from your current patient base. So in marketing, when we say your market, we're saying your patient. So that's really what I want to say.
That's some really good advice for everyone to have. So before we all jump off the line, what are some website links you can give us where people can find you and more information about you?
Oh my gosh, Luke, I'm so glad you asked. I am very social on social, just like Jim says, stay social on social. Definitely Facebook. And so friend me, Lili Serrano. I still have some room. That's not going to last for long, but on my contact list, friends list. And email can be Lili, so Lili at imarketingmadesimple.com. And you can actually visit my website, which is imarketingmadesimple.com. And yeah, reach out, and if you just want to run something by me. I've talked to chiropractors. I talk to them all the time, but I've talked to them about their current strategies now, and if they're on the right track or not, and I'll be very upfront about it. And yeah.
Awesome. Well, that wraps up this episode, and I want to thank you again for being our guest today on such short notice.
Thank you for the opportunity, and of course, I like you guys a lot, and we're all on the same page of making huge impacts in the chiropractic community, so thank you.
Yeah, Lili, thank you so much for sharing your insight, a little bit about who you are, what you're accomplishing, and where you're going. So the audience will definitely be able to get some takeaways from you for sure. So thank you for being our guest.
Yay! And that's a wrap.
All right, let's
You're
talk
welcome.
soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.